Welcome back to the channel, everybody. Let's get after it.
Sleep here. Let's actually sleep here. I tried to do this, by the way, in the winter, if you guys remember.
Oh, what the f? What the f? Yo, who the f was that? I don't know, but he's, bro,
Fuck, did he even put that too, or what? Or is that natural?
What?
Look, it looks like another
tree. No, there used to be a fort here, remember?
Yeah, it looks like a fort. Yeah, that's the thing. He literally just disappeared quick.
So for all we know, he could be just hiding in plain view right now, and we can't even see him. Dude, I wonder if, like, while we were, like, checking this place out, he was watching us the whole time. I wonder if he was in any of my footage without us even knowing.
So I typically like to open these videos with something that's actually happening. So a video of something taking place instead of someone talking or expressing an idea or thought. This is the best that I could come up with today, and I totally believe that it's just a bunch of guys in the woods pretending like someone's watching them. I don't believe at all that this is actually a legitimate sighting of someone stalking somebody. Their reactions don't look believable. Like if you're out in the woods and someone's stalking you and then takes off running, and you see they're like in a ghillie suit just standing behind a tree watching you. For one thing, you're not going to take off running towards them. You're just going to try to talk to them. The whole thing just seems like it was scripted.
I have no idea what's going on with the weather, but I've been telling you guys thousands of times, this is not normal. This is not feet of snow. This is like 2 or 3 foot of hail. Like, what the hail is going on? Did y'all see what just happened in Ohio? 14 massive tornadoes in Ohio. I mean, the weather is on something. Something we can't say on here. The weather's on something. Some caffeine. The weather's been drinking a lot of coffee. This right here is when these weird fuzzy frequencies took these two storms and compound them into one big storm. Combined, compound. Look at this. Y'all, Ohio is freaking destroyed. Destroyed. Ohio, I think Nebraska, Oklahoma. Texas was just destroyed, was it not? Houston, Texas. Me and so many people have been trying to tell y'all this weather is not normal. But y'all people, man, you guys are some really, really, really deep sleepers. But one of the tornadoes literally pushed over a semi-truck. Dang.
Tonight, a dangerous tornado outbreak in Iowa, with at least a dozen reports of twisters so far today. This video was captured by a tornado chaser in Adams County, Iowa, about 100 miles southwest of Des Moines. You can see a home ripped to shreds, debris swirling, and the devastating aftermath.
This is drone footage from WX Chasing. I'm telling y'all, these storms are coming for all of us. Mark my words, 2024 is going to be the craziest freaking hurricane season you have ever seen. You think Katrina was bad. You see how the weather is right now? And by the way, it's happening all over the world.
You know, I think what's likely going on here is they're playing with weather, doing this cloud seeding and all this stuff, and they're playing with nature, and it's causing all these negative side effects. That's what I think is happening. Now, some of this stuff, of course, is going to be naturally occurring, but I think it's being amped up by all this tinkering that they're doing with our weather systems. And the thing is this actually assists them in their narrative of the whole global warming crisis. So I don't know that this stuff's being done intentionally. I would just say that the weather manipulations and stuff are being done intentionally. The negative side effects, I don't think that they're intentionally trying to wipe out states. I think that these are just the negative consequences of all their tampering, and it assists them in their narrative so they don't really mind it, because they can say, oh, this is caused by global warming. Hey, if you're enjoying this video and you like this kind of content, I make a new one just like it every day, Monday through Friday. It'd be awesome if you'd hit that subscribe button and come back tomorrow to join me.
Colonel Nell, David Grush's boss, just dropped an absolute bombshell on the world. Take a listen.
And so, Carl, here's the million-dollar question. Do you believe that a higher form of non-human intelligence has visited this planet?
Right. So, non-human intelligence exists. Non-human intelligence has been interacting with humanity. This interaction is not new, and it's been ongoing. And there are unelected people in the government that are aware of that.
And so, Carl, that is quite a bold statement. I'm wondering, and I'm curious, how confident are you that that is true?
There's zero doubt.
And Carl, what evidence have you seen? What was the moment where you developed this level of conviction? Because what you're saying is extremely consequential and very important, and I know that a lot of people here even perhaps may not believe that statement.
Right. Well, probably a better way to ask that is, how can the folks in the audience come to the, a common understanding of what this phenomenon is? And so there's sort of two tracks here. One is from first principles, and another is actually from the data. So let's take a look at the data. So we can look at some folks that have very high level access to information, like Paul Hellyer, who is the defense chief for Canada, has come out and said the same thing. We can look at Ham Eshed, the head of Israel's, or former head of Israel's Space Force, has said the same thing. Chris Mellon, Deputy Assistant Secretary for Intel, SAPCO, has essentially said the same thing. Lou Elizondo has said the same thing. David Grush has said the same thing. David Grush cleared for presidentially level material. So you're looking at people that are in a position to know this, and they're telling you the same thing. You could take a look at the Gang of Eight in the Senate and in Congress. So there's two members of the Gang of Eight, Marco Rubio and Senator Chuck Schumer, that signed up to the UAP disclosure amendment last year that basically said they're not being told the truth and we need to push forward on that. So that's sort of an overview of some of the data. From a first principles standpoint, what's so unusual about this realization? There's billions of stars in the galaxy. Life here evolved in 500 million years, which is basically a blink of an eye. We've found planets around every star that we've looked at. It's likely that the universe is full of life.
Unbelievable news. If you guys are excited to see the rest of this video, pop on over to my YouTube channel, stop in or drop in. I'd love to have you over there. The rest of this whole interview is up on my channel, so get over there right now and check it out.
I wouldn't call this a bombshell. In fact, I would say that if your best evidence is that a bunch of people are saying the same thing, that's not really evidence. That's a bunch of people who've gotten their story straight. So I am completely convinced that we've got either aliens or some sort of paranormal entity flying around in these crafts and stuff. I'm not completely convinced that it's all the U.S. government. We had to have gotten this technology from somewhere, and I don't think that it was invented by humans. I'm only saying there's a lot more and a lot better evidence out there than just what David Grush says.
Oh, you're gonna like this one. So this whole bridge thing and the collapse, it made me think, wait a minute, wasn't that a scene from the movie that the Obamas produced on Netflix? And yeah, it is. Look, right there. That looks pretty similar, right? So then I'm like, wait a minute. Why are ex-presidents producing movies anyway? So of course I had to ask Alexa. Alexa, how many films has the Obamas produced?
This might answer your question. I know about 119 Barack Obama movies, including Leave the World Behind, Before the Flood, Fahrenheit 11 Nights, and Rustin. Netflix has announced a deal with Barack Obama and Michelle Obama, which will see the pair producing films and TV shows for the streaming giant.
I just don't trust Netflix. Barack and Michael, I do. I think they're great. And then I'm asking Alexa just as a joke. Maybe the government has an entire film industry and they're just always been pushing films on us for propaganda purposes only, and education and entertainment and blah, blah, blah. I just asked her as a joke. And then it turns out the frickin' Pentagon has an entire film company funded by the Department of Defense. Can't make it up. Alexa, has the Pentagon created Hollywood films?
From rawonline.org. It is estimated that the Pentagon has assisted in producing over 500 Hollywood films since the creation of the Department of Defense in 1947.
I bet you anything one of them was The Truman Show and The Matrix. Ah!
I think anything that has a narrative about anything in regards to the United States, anything that's a political hot button or topic at that point that the movie's coming out, I think the Pentagon's going to get involved because they want to make sure that the right narrative is being pushed. Because people sit and watch these movies and start to rationalize that real life is the same as these movies. If they can get this narrative pushed in films, then people will be more willing to accept it in reality.
1 million here, we need 5 million here. And I say, well, do you vet it? He goes, no, we're in emergency mode. So we cut the checks immediately to him. Immediately. And he says, but this is where it gets crazy, JJ. He said, when I cut the checks to the subcontractors, I'm cutting the check to the same payee. I'm sending the same funds to Jewish Family Services, the same account. So you have Jewish Family Services getting $600 million, but you have 50 to 100 subcontractors that I'm paying, but I'm paying to the same bank account as Jewish Family Services. It's all a lie. It's just all a lie. And I said, okay, well, you cut $600 million check. Are you now tracking that to check? And he goes, listen, you have to understand, JJ, nobody's following the money. No one cares. He says, you have to understand the federal government created a chaotic situation on the border. You have millions of people coming to the border. The Border Patrol, DHS, CBP, FEMA, no one has the resources, manpower to move millions of people from the border into America. That's where the NGOs come in. The NGOs are the movement of people and goods into America. That is the evil partnership between the government and the NGOs.
Did he give you a sense, because we have a segment coming up here tonight, we're going to talk about the United Nations and their collaboration on all of this and bringing in military-aged men. Did he give you a sense of why most of these people that you've been seeing, of course, on camera, are military-aged men between the ages of 25, 35 years old? I think people out there think this idea of this like replacement theory that just sounds like a conspiracy theory, or the militarization of the United States, sort of a United Nations army inside the United States and Europe to carry out plans for lockdowns, whatever it is. Did he give you a sense of why they all seem to be the same 25 to 35 year olds and they're all men?
He did, as well as many other investigative journalists that I have contacts with and my sources. They all believe that this is a military-style invasion. Let me just tell you how this looks to us. When you attack a nation, you attack from multiple points of entry. You don't attack, this is not the Middle Ages where I'm attacking the moat and the drawbridge. I'm attacking multiple areas. So once you do that, you attack multiple areas, you make the inroads into America. Now, the United States government, who I believe is the enemy of our people, has already created the pathways, the highways, the routes for the invasion to go into Middle America. So you don't invade a nation and just stay on our borders. You advance. You keep advancing. So when people are talking about the military-age adult males that are pouring into our country, understand that they're anywhere from 50 to 70% of the total illegal population coming into America. We've been sold this lie that's family units and babies and kids. Yes, there are that. But the single adult military-age men are in the millions, tens of millions in America. You're looking at, you mentioned this perfectly. It's happening in Europe. Nothing happens in the world by happenstance. There's no willy-nilly, well, this is just how it's happened. It just happens that there's tens of millions of illegal military-age adult men pouring into, from the southern hemisphere, pouring.
So I know this is a touchy subject for a lot of people, but I'm going to give my opinion on it anyway. I feel like we're absolutely being invaded, and these are military-age men for a reason. Now the federal government is stepping in and stripping the states of their right to verify your identity whenever you go to vote in a presidential election. They just had a poll that was released that stated that 47% of the population in the United States believes that a civil war is likely. And what side do you think they're going to be fighting on? Do you think that they're going to be fighting on the side of the people or fighting on the side of the federal government who allowed them to flood in here? This just raises a lot of really, really dark questions. I don't think that the answers to any of them that are the most likely outcome are any good. I can't see a single good outcome from allowing this many immigrants to flood across your border at one time.
Why is no one talking about this conspiracy theory? Andrew Dawson was a TikToker hunting giants. He would go giant hunting, right? One day, he spotted a giant standing on top of a mountain. He's with a friend, zooms in on it. All of his giant hunting wishes come true until the video goes viral and the CIA starts stalking him. He makes a video. I was stopped by the CIA. Days go by after the CIA approached him and he continues hunting for giants. So this was April of 2022.
I just got stopped by the CIA agent.
He continues his hunting for UFOs and giants, paranormal. Then at nighttime, he sees a parked CIA agent's car. So he records.
The guy's here again.
It was the same CIA agent as before. The CIA agent is directing traffic and tells him to turn his car around.
What's going on?
Road's closed. Turn around.
Really?
Yeah, man. Just turn around, please.
So he's bummed out, but he turns around. 3 days later, the same car is outside of his house. So this was the 14th when he was told to turn around. Now look. On the 17th, it's out front of his house again. The car peels off. So Andrew takes a break from posting for almost a month. And a month goes by, he's scared, but he wants to keep posting. He makes a video.
You might not see me post ever again.
After that post, he makes one final video in May. He sees some weird utility vehicle on the same mountain where he saw the giant. This was May of 2022. And then he goes missing. And then his obituary is released July 1st of 2022. Not even 2 months later.
So when I first started this YouTube channel, it was because there's a lot of people that make these kind of videos, but a lot of them are hyper sensationalistic and really go over the top with their reactions and stuff, and no one's actually discussing the legitimacy of some of these clips. So I thought, well, I'll make them myself and maybe people will want to watch it. So I posted my first video. It got like 15,000 views, I think, in the first 24 hours. And I thought, all right, awesome. I'll make more videos like this. I'll just post every day for 30 days and see what happens. And it turned into a much bigger thing than I expected it to be. But the reason I bring this up is I think that that's what's going on with this guy. I think that he posted a video of him doing something that he thought would be fun, and it got a little bit of attention. And so he thought, how can I keep this going? I can't just post videos of me looking for something and never finding anything. People will get tired of it and stop watching, stop tuning in. So he started faking content. I think that the CIA agent that he keeps interacting with is just a buddy of his, and I think the whole thing is just a show, a type of ARG. I don't think that he's intending it to be an ARG. I think it's just similar in the way that he's filming these videos. It's a similar concept, and I think he's just doing it strictly to get views. Now, I could be completely wrong, and this guy could be completely legit, but that's just not the way that I see it. But you guys let me know down in the comments section, do you believe what he's posting? Do you think that this guy's serious? Do you think he's being honest with everybody, or do you think he's faking all this stuff?
From 1948 to 1973, for 25 years, the U.S. economy was so amazing that you could conceivably get a job. I mean a regular job. I don't mean an amazing job. And the pay would be so high and the benefits so amazing that you could not only afford to buy a house and feed your family, you might be able to send your kids to school, to college, and you might be able to retire really well. Piketty says in his book, Capital in the 21st Century, that was the only time, in fact, in human history where a person could work and make wealth. Right? Because if you look at the middle class today in the United States, they don't make wealth. They barely get by. The difference between the middle class and the lower class is that the middle class has stable housing and the lower class doesn't have stable housing. The wealth distance between the lower class and the middle class is negligible. It's meaningless. They're barely getting by. But for 25 years, people were prospering. And what they realize, it's Maslow's hierarchy of needs. If people aren't fretting about food, if they're not worried about shelter, if they're not in constant fear that the economic situation they're in will collapse, they have mind space to start to ask bigger and better questions like, wait a minute, what about civil liberties? What about civil rights? What about human rights? And the next thing you know, by 1954, 6 years into this explosive economy, we're in the middle of a revolution.
So that makes perfect sense. If you're not particularly worried about where your next meal is coming from, You're not particularly worried about where you're getting clean water or how you're going to keep a roof over your head because everything just seems to be going so great right now. You're going to start looking at other things that need to be fixed. People need a problem to work on. People need something to do, something to tie up their time. I think a lot of this activism and stuff that's going on in society right now is just people who don't have anything better to do. You know, it's a lot of college kids and stuff that are graduated and are having trouble finding a job, and they're out here in the streets, you know, raising hell and trying to enact some sort of social change. If our economy was better and it was easier to find a job and you had a 9-to-5 to go to, you wouldn't be out in the streets wasting your off time. You'd be living your life.
This guy, whistleblower, he was a firefighter on one of the lab bases in Antarctica. Basically, he said that's a very elite position because you have keys to every single facility. And he reported on it. He's like, I don't even know how to explain it. But he talked about this technology that they have in Antarctica. It's this communication device that it like defies physics. So like when we talk on phone or whatever, when we're communicating, it travels in radio waves, right?
Yeah.
And he's like, so it has that path that communicates by a straight line. So he's like, you can talk to someone 1 light year away.
If it's through time and telekinesis, then you could go back in time and talk to yourself just telepathically with saying no words. So your gut feelings can actually be your own advice here.
Well, listen, you were onto something a little bit.
Oh, man.
Because he said this technology, he's like, it's not meant for one thing. It's it's the most powerful telescope in the whole world.
Wow.
He said the earthquake that happened in Churchill, New Zealand was caused by this thing in
boy.
Antarctica. And the guy's like, he's like, how do you know? He said, because I was in the room.
So I think we've all heard the conspiracy of them creating the Christchurch disaster. What I find more interesting in this is the communication aspect of it, that they're claiming that you could use this to essentially send a message to yourself in the past and communicate internally in such a way that you could give yourself advice. Like you could send back like, hey, purchase Apple stock or, you know, whatever. I think that's a lot more interesting. And this is the first that I've heard of this device being used for anything other than creating earthquakes and stuff like that. So I find that very interesting. I find it very frustrating that we'll never actually get an answer on this unless, you know, it gets invaded or something and exposed, but that's likely to never happen. What do you guys think about it? You think this device is real? I think it's interesting to think about, but it's very difficult for me to wrap my head around the idea of being able to send yourself a thought into the past. I feel like a claim like that would require heavy, heavy evidence, and probably there would be no way to back up that claim. Even if it were possible, how would you prove it? So you send information back in time to yourself. How do you prove that you did that? Because you have to have the information in the present day in order to send it back. So you'd already know it in the present day. It's not like you could say, oh, I sent some information back to myself that I wasn't aware of now, and so now I have that information. You see what I'm saying? It just doesn't add up. So there'd be no way to prove it.
Are we looking at pyramids in Antarctica over the ice wall from Operation High Jump in 1946? This footage is circulating around, and I'm going to show it to you in a second. But first, if you really don't think there's an ice wall, check this out. This is genuine footage from the Navy from 1957. You tell me what you see when you look at this. And this goes on and on and on. And I want to show you something about it that's very peculiar. Now I want you to pay particular attention to how this is a concave ice wall. If it was convex, like this at the bottom of a globe, it would be convex because it would be a continent at the bottom. If we were inside of it and it surrounded us, it would be concave. Like we see anytime someone shows us footage from the Antarctic shore that holds in all the oceans. Now let's check out these pyramids. It looks pretty legit to me, but unless I'm there, unless I can see with my own eyes, kind of like with the ice wall, I don't know. It's just speculating. But I think the speculation, especially with the ice wall, because water needs a container, makes a lot of sense. Have a good day. Oh, entertainment purposes. Of course, this is just all CGI, and there's no ice wall. No ice wall.
So I don't know if I believe that that footage is real. It's just too easy to slap some text at the bottom of some grainy black and white footage and make a claim that it's from somewhere it's not. But the idea that there are pyramids in Antarctica, there almost has to be. They're found on every continent, all over the world. So to assume that they're not going to also be in Antarctica, I think, would be a logical fallacy. And whenever you take into consideration how much the Earth has changed since, like, the Younger Dryas event, this massive cataclysmic event that just completely reshaped the landscape, there was likely a large population of people living in Antarctica before it was all frozen over. I think it would be ignorant to make the assumption that there's not a pyramid in Antarctica. I think the likeliness is just too high.
There have been many pictures and videos that have came to light recently from Anlong County in China that shows clearly many dozens, if not more, pyramids hidden amongst the hillsides. Now, the experts are saying these are no more than parallel layers of stones. They all just happen to look like pyramids. But it's pretty clear it's just one more in a growing list of reasons why we don't trust the experts anymore. And these certainly weren't the first pyramids uncovered in China. Here's a photo in 1945 from U.S. Airman James Gossman, and it was absolutely massive in size, dwarfing the pyramids in Egypt. You can pause to read more of his experience. In fact, there's been dozens, if not hundreds, of photos and reports of hidden pyramids scattered all throughout China. While government officials refuse access to investigate any of these sites, in fact, goes to great lengths to cover them back up, plant trees on top of them, and block off any access from the public. But even on the controlled Google Earth, you can still find many of them to this day. But it's no surprise they want to keep these hidden. These realm-wide pyramids show once again, history is nothing more than a set of lies agreed upon. Question everything, friends. Until next time.
I really like his little saying there that he puts in every video, that history is nothing more than a set of lies agreed upon. There's so much truth to that. I just thought this was very interesting because I've heard it through digging for clips and stuff and making all these videos. I've heard so many different claims about there's tons of pyramids and stuff in China that they won't let anyone see, and they plant trees on top of them, and the government won't let anyone inspect them, and they're just trying to keep them hidden from view. I've heard these claims, but I've never seen all this video footage and photographs of the actual pyramids. I mean, they are everywhere over there. The fact that they've been able to hide them so well for so long is amazing, but it makes you think, why are they so adamant about covering these things up and keeping them from the public? What are they trying to hide? Why are all of these pyramids that are all over the place all covered up and hidden from us? What is the reason for the great lie? My best guess right now is that those are some sort of an energy device, and that they're hiding the fact that we could pull energy from the atmosphere, that we could pull electricity out of the atmosphere, and that we don't have to pay for it, that we don't have to have gas and coal and oil and all that stuff, that we could just use electricity right from the ether. I genuinely think that that is the main cause for them covering up the pyramids and hiding what they were used for. I think that they know what they were used for. But guys, that's the end of our clips for today. I'm going to go ahead and call the video right there. Couldn't find a good place to transition into talking about t-shirts in any of these clips, but I've been requested to make a shirt with my face on it, and specifically with the microphone, the Don King mic. So we have a new shirt available, and if you would like to get one, you can go to www.barry-stepp.com and purchase one. I hope everyone likes this design. I did not draw this myself. I hired this done. The guy did a fantastic job. It looks just like me. I think it's awesome. If you've just been dying to wear a shirt with my face on it, now you can get you one. But guys, I'm going to go ahead and end it right there. I hope everybody has a great, safe, fantastic rest of your evening, and I will see you in the next video.